Hi, and welcome to the Dunton Homestead. This week we were scheduled to get a freeze, so I went out and picked my Carolina Reapers, my habaneros, my cayenne peppers, and my green peppers, as well as some marigolds, which I don't think that the freeze would have touched the marigolds, so that I could get them before the frost did. Got bell pepper, cayenne pepper, a tray of Reapers, a little more bell and some habaneros, and a tray of marigolds. That's what we got going on for the next 24, 36 hours in the freeze dryer. Good morning. Rick and I got back last night from a Farm Where You Live celebration in South Carolina, Simpsonville, South Carolina. It was awesome. The event was hosted by Megan and Josh Fisher of Barefoot Acres Homestead. It was fabulous. I think this was their second one hosting, and they did fabulous, and it was awesome. And as someone that used to plan events, I think they just did fantastic. We had such a good time. We got to meet some of the homestead, the YouTube homesteaders that we follow. We got to meet so many other really cool people. The speakers, the teachers, they all did a fabulous job. We learned so much and can't wait to start trying some of the stuff that we learned. We have picked up some tips on maybe trying to make our compost pile a little bit more effective. The way it was demonstrated would be you'd be moving your chicken coop around. That's not a situation that can work well with us, but we're gonna try and take and see how it could work better for us in here. And basically one of my takeaways is that we need to be more active in it. Like, we need to be adding daily, not just when we have a bunch of stuff to throw in. I mean, there needs to be carbon added daily, there needs to be food scraps added daily. And at least once a week it needs to be turned and it needs to be watered. So like plants, if you want them to grow, if you want your fertilizer to grow, you need to take care of it. Now I'm hoping to be able to start some of that today, but there are a lot of other things that need taken care of. My freeze dryer had been sitting still for a few days and I needed to get that loaded. One of the demonstrations that I watched was how to make salves from herbs and from flowers, medicinal salves. And I was kind of bumming because it's like one of the items was marigolds. Well, I had marigolds coming out of my ears this summer to the point where I had to yank them out of the garden because they were crowding all my stuff. They were making plants knock over. There wasn't enough room, and I'm like, note to self, and I actually wrote this in my garden journal that I'm trying to refer to so I can not make the same mistakes twice. Do not plant 2 flats of marigolds because they grow really well down here. I don't have to plant that many just in case they don't grow. So I was bumming because I had been, like a few months ago, I started pulling them out as they were crowding. I was trying to make more room for the things I wanted to eat in the garden. So I was giving them to the chickens. The chickens were loving them. I'm also, I also brought them down and like put them along the side of the fence in front of the chicken coop, which a lot of them have died off and are just waiting for me to come down and start collecting the seeds for next year or to give away. I've been giving a lot of these seeds away, and birthday cards and things. So that I have like a whole row here. I'm not going to be any shortage for seeds again next year. This morning I went outside to pick what needed to be picked. We're supposed to be getting a freeze like by Wednesday, I think Wednesday night. And I am still unclear on which things can withstand a bit of a freeze, a short time freeze, and what can grow. So I went and I picked all the peppers. I picked the Reapers, the habaneros, the cayennes, and the green peppers. And as you can see by the pictures I showed at the beginning of the video, I'll prep them up for the freeze dryer. But whilst I was out looking for the peppers, I realized I still had 2 plants, one in each garden, marigolds, were covered with flowers. I'm like, score! So I went ahead and I picked them. They're gonna go in the freeze dryer as well, and I'm gonna go ahead and make a salve. Marigolds are soothers, so it's a skin soother. And so when I get to the point where I am going to be making that, I'll probably do a video and go in a little more detail. I'm going to do a little bit more research so that we can all learn together what good marigolds are, besides deterring bugs, which the bugs down here, I don't think any deters it, but it makes the garden pretty and the chickens like them. But we'll learn together. One of the things that God gave us that can help soothe ourselves, and we don't have to use steroid creams or whatever else. It'll be a journey that we'll take together to learn what good marigolds are. There are some things in the garden that need some attention. A couple weeks ago I put in garlic, onions, carrots, and a few beets, and was waiting for the carrots to start peeking up, and they have done that. I just pulled off one of the cardboards. I had pulled off one of the cardboards that I had it covered with before we left for the weekend, because I gave it a peek and there were some seeds poking up. And I left the other one on because there wasn't. There were two different rows were 2 different kinds of carrots, so I imagine that they do germinate differently. So I just pulled that one up this morning, and I'm not sure if I'm supposed to be seeing what I'm seeing. So the ground is kind of white underneath of the cardboard, which I just pulled up. I don't know if that's mold. I mean, there's a few little sprouts, but I'm gonna leave it off because I'm just feeling like it's not supposed to look like that. When I did remove the cardboard, there were so many crickets. The crickets are grasshoppers. They were black and they were shorter, so I think they were crickets underneath there, and they all scattered. So I'm hoping, I was really hoping that I'd be able to grow carrots this time, because I haven't had much luck in the past here. I'm planning on mulching up some leaves today and like gently laying it around my onions. The onions are upright. None of them look like they're dying, so that's cool. But I looked up to see if I was supposed to be composting, mulching in light of the freeze that's coming. I know these are going to sit all winter, but I want to make sure I do everything that I can to make sure that they're successful when we pull them out in the spring. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And I've got a couple layers of mulch on my garlic. I'm going to throw some more on. A couple of the garlic are poking up, and I don't want that prematurely, because if they start getting stalks, I think that's where they put their energy, and I want them to put their energy into big bulbs. The last thing I'm hoping to get taken care of this week, and especially by Wednesday, is our sweet potato jungle. So as you can see, the weeds overtook us again, and I'm hoping that circumstances are right, that when Rick gets home from work, that we can work on this together to get all the sweet potatoes out and start trying to get those cured so that we have them to eat. And actually we have some sweet potatoes in this jungle. I can't believe how much this has grown up. And these, I wish I could find out that these weeds were some type of an herb, because at least I wouldn't feel like I was losing the battle all the time. I could take them out and do something with them. So if anybody knows what those are, let me know. My plant identifier subscription ended, and I didn't feel like spending another $20 on it for another year, because a lot of times it was getting it wrong. I would take a picture of something, I knew what it was because I actually planted it, and it would come up with something different. So I didn't see paying for misinformation. Back in February of this year, Rick and I went to a Whole Foods store. I don't think it was called Whole Foods. It was a store that had mainly organic foods. And did that so that I could get some ginger root. And so this is like the middle of February. Got like 3, I think they call them knuckles, of ginger root, and I put it into a plastic container, like the kind that you would get salad in, like salad greens and stuff in the box, big boxes, in soil. And I kept it watered, kept it in front of the window. Ginger is a tropical plant, so it does really good in heat, moist heat settings. So I started getting these shoots coming up, and when they got about a foot tall, and at the same time our soil got warm, and I did not write down when it was I put them in the soil temperature was at least 50 degrees, because that's what I was going by, knowing that it was just going to keep going up. And I'm going to pull them up tonight because it's supposed to be tomorrow night. We're supposed to have a freeze, and being tropical, I'm thinking it probably wouldn't take well. So I'm going to see what happened with those 3 knuckles that I buried. I'm not sure if I can just go ahead and pull them up or whether I need to dig them up, so this is a first. I think I can pull them up, but I don't want them all breaking into a bunch of pieces either. So this is like one of my few raised beds that I have. Although we've been talking about with us aging, maybe we should do more raised beds. So I'm guessing this must be one of the original knuckles, because this has still got hard skin on it, whereas all this stuff is fresh. And I'll have to look up to see whether the skin just starts happening. So this is pretty neat. This is a lot of ginger, and I've only pulled up one of them. It smells good. This is very cool. We will definitely be doing this again. You see all the ginger? This is new stuff. This is one of the 3 knuckles that we bought. Mm-hmm. And this is all new stuff. Cool. That's cool. I need to dig them. To figure out how to cure them. Curing vegetables are one of the things that we're having a hard time doing because we don't have any right conditions for it. So like today I threw away another butternut squash because it started to mold. So tomorrow I'm going to be peeling all the rest of them and get them ready to be the next thing that goes in the freeze dryer. It's discouraging because you don't want everything to get wasted you've worked so hard on.
You don't want to can that?
Squash? Good.
That's what I would do with it.
It's kind of neat. I mean, I wish now that I had weighed the amount of ginger that I put in, so I could weigh the amount of ginger that I'm taking out. And going forward, I will do that. Whatever I start in February, I'll weigh to see how much, and then see what it is when we're taking it out in the fall. And also I want to start some turmeric next time around to see how that will work. That would be neat to be able to grow your own turmeric. A lot of medicinal properties in that. In this bed, one of the volunteer plants was it looks like a cherry tomato plant and like an aroma from last year, and that was like seeds that did not die off in the compost. I just let it grow. Pick some. Still got some red on there, but at this point, it's not enough for me to pick off and do anything, and they don't look pretty enough for a salad. Okay, one more root to get. Seem to do well in this spot too, so this is where it will go next year with the turmeric as well. And hopefully we'll have some really decent compost that we won't have all kinds of volunteer stuff coming up in it. That is quite a bit of ginger. So I think I'm just gonna like rake through, go get the 3-prong rake thingy and just make sure I didn't miss any. But that was a pretty good experiment that worked. That was very cool. If I can get that one loofah that survived to actually dry out the way it should, and that works, that would also be awesome. It's neat trying new things that you'd never think you could be able to do because you live where there's 2 feet of snow on the ground 7 months out of the year. It's nice being in a warmer climate for the most part. So that's it with the ginger. I really wish I had weighed it, but look at all that. That's quite the harvest from 3 knuckles that we put in there. And I probably, if I can cure these and they don't start rotting, I will start my plants with these ones. I won't need to go to the store to buy new organic ones. That was pretty cool. So we'll see what else I need to try and save before the frost hits. So it's a couple days after I put all the peppers and the marigolds in the freeze dryer. Last night they were done. It was about 9:30 and I didn't feel like dealing with them as far as doing what I needed to do with them, so I'm just taking care of that today. I'm finding that if I take them right out of the freeze dryer, and I put them in jars and put these covers on them, they actually last, they can last for a little while before I have to really worry about if I'm going to preserve them for long term. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and do 2 different things with the habaneros and the reapers. I'm going to make crushed pepper, so it's seeds, you know, toppings for stuff. I'm also going to make powder, also for seasoning, but I'm just going to do it 2 different ways. So the first thing I'm going to do is take some of them as they come out. You can hear they're freeze dried. I'm going to go ahead and put them into this little chopper thing that I have. I have no idea where I picked this up. I was looking for I had 2 of them at one time before we moved down here. I guess they didn't make the trip. They're glass jars and it had really sharp blades at the bottom, and I guess it's a nutcracker. And I like that a lot, and I think it would actually work better than this thing. But I'll go ahead and chop this up so it's a little bit coarser. It's not going to be a full-on powder. And then I can end up with, I'll have to do a little bit more, but I don't know if you can see that. It'll be more like pepper flakes. So I'm going to do some of them that way and fill some containers. I'm wearing gloves. I'm starting to feel the feel the reaper. Because I'm wearing gloves because I've learned finally, after several times, that when you're doing peppers, whether it's habaneros or reapers or whatever, as careful as you can be with them, you're gonna stick your finger in your eye, and it's gonna hurt. Or even on your hands, you think you got it all washed off, but then like for days afterwards, every time you put your hands in water, it like reactivates the heat, and it's not really fun. So I'm gonna go ahead and I will put this stuff in some jars. The other thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make the hot peppers, both the habanero and the reaper, into a powder, and do that with a magic bullet that I just recently bought. I bought the magic bullet rather than using an old coffee grinder that I had, because it's much easier to clean. The mechanism that needs to be cleaned, besides the container, is this part, not the actual part that is electric. So it's just so much easier to clean. You don't have to worry about doing one thing and then something else and having it reaper on whatever it is that you're eating. So I already have some from previous freeze drying sessions. I already have a jar of reaper powder started. I'm not going to open this right away, because when you open it right away, the powder lingers in the air and it gets a little hard to deal with. So I'll wait till that settles down. I'm going to finish this up and move on to the habaneros. So now I'm moving on to the habanero, and I decided just to do habanero powder. We still have a lot of habanero flakes from last year, so I'm just going to do powder. And the last one I'm going to do is the cayenne pepper. Now, of all the hot peppers that we've grown, cayenne is the one that I use the most. Last year, I made it like, it's called an elixir out of it. I soaked it in vodka for several weeks and then strained it, and I use it like in my hot cocoa at night. It's really good for inflammation. Medicinally, from what I've learned so far, cayenne pepper is like the most medicinal pepper, and it doesn't kill you just to breathe it like the reapers and the habanero sometimes can. So that's my favorite pepper. Unfortunately, I only had 2 cayenne pepper plants that took this year, so I don't have nearly as many cayenne peppers to work with, to save, to preserve as I did last year. I think last year I had like 8 plants, and I think I like, oh, that's too many, so I only started 6 this year, and only 2 of them actually took, just because. So going forward, I think I'll always plan for like 6 if I have room for them. I'm not going to do anything with the green peppers. I'm just going to leave them in here. I think that they will last for quite a while in here, as long as I make sure that the cover's on here, and that way we can just take them out and throw them into whatever we need. The other thing I was going to do is, these are the marigolds. I crushed them all in here, and I'm planning on making a salve with it. And what I need for that I don't have in the house right now, is some good olive oil. I've probably got 3 or 4 bottles of olive oil, but they're like Food Lion brand or something, and let's see if I'm gonna run to the store shortly and go get some good quality olive oil, and then we'll let it sit for 6 to 8 weeks, and then I can go ahead and process it into a salve. If you are interested in me sending you a little packet of one of our hot peppers, the Carolina Reapers, the habaneros, or cayenne, just comment below, and if you're one of the first 6 people to comment, I will go ahead and I will send you a packet, and I will contact you in the comments. Have a great night, be a blessing, and be blessed.